Well, I thought I'd cheer us up a bit because, I mean, everything we talked about so far has been about how the decline is happening. The decline is irreversible. I mean, that's been the theme of the first sort of two segments pretty strongly. And my segment is also about that. However, the reason it's more optimistic...
It's not just here, and here. It's also here.
The reason my segment is more optimistic is because this is one of those arcs which is kind of a bit further ahead, and you can see the renewal happening in it. So I was going to talk about how AAA gaming is just obviously dead, clearly over, and
thank God.
The indie games, they're pushing through like roots between the concrete, and it's happening. It's, you know, we don't need to dispute it. I know you've been quite good on this, haven't you, Josh? Because you just say, well, I think it was Ubisoft falling apart, or was it?
Yeah, I covered lots of stuff. I've done a few segments just keeping up with it because I think it's one of those industries that it's a sort of canary in the coal mine for the future, as you've identified, in that actually there's a lot of resistance to wokeness, and I think that actually it's showing that voting with your wallet in many ways is more effective than voting at the ballot box for enacting cultural change at the very least, because we can see that lots and lots of small games are now succeeding far beyond some of their sort of AAA publisher games.
I mean, presumably it was... I don't really know what it's about, but were you talking about that Concord game?
Oh yes, so it was like a Sony game. They I think they lost about 400 million. So they put it out. It was seen as like this flagship thing, this competitive shooter. Or I don't know what it was.
But it was going to be perennially woke.
It was, yeah. You could play as an overweight black woman with dyed hair. So
right, could you also not play as that?
I don't know, but
right.
Well, I mean, look at the characters you've got there, right? So the idea of being a straight white man is just off the table, right? That's the point of it.
Sony sunk all of this money into it. They made it their sort of flagship thing, and then no one bought it to the point that they refunded everyone and took it offline.
That is an epic fail.
Unprecedented level of failure there.
The maximum concurrent players was apparently 249.
Mm-hmm.
It's 240.
And I'm pretty sure that Squirrel with a Gun, which is a gimmick game basically, where it's a squirrel with a gun. I mean, you know what you're getting. Yeah. That had about 3 or 4 times the concurrent players.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let's go back to the beginning of this database thing, Samson, because So Samson was telling me about this, which you can go back to the sort of the ranking thing at the beginning. But yeah, so this is a database of what's going on Steam and how games are performing. And just looking at that list, the top game is Counter-Strike. What's that? 2012 or something?
Yeah, but that's because it's free. And the Russians love it as well.
Yeah. Counter-Strike 2012. But having 1 million players, just 1.2 million players, just playing that, it's just Valve, obviously.
The Battlegrounds thing, I think that might qualify as a AAA game, but
again, that's 8 years old.
I think that's less infected with woke.
7 years old.
Dota, that's a kind of indie.
That's 2013.
Yeah, that's an older one. Now, Banana's interesting.
I don't know what this is.
So I thought, what the hell is that? Because it's beating out things of like Call of Duty that they spend billions on over the course of the series. The game Banana is literally, I don't think I better show it on the screen, but it is literally you clicking on a banana. Right. I don't think you're going to believe me.
Well, I'm looking at the screenshot.
Oh, there we go.
And it's
So look, I've got there's my Steam. Look,
yeah.
You click on the banana, and the number goes up.
Watching, yeah.
Oh right, You just click on it to count the clicks on the banana.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the game, and that is
400,000 people playing that.
Yeah, and that's beating out Call of Duty.
Game.
That could be useful for something like psychological research. So that could be labs and things using that because crypto. Okay.
Right. So it's
Samson, the Oracle of Gaming, has told us.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, right, okay. Call of Duty. I mean, that used to be a big thing.
Yeah.
When a new Call of Duty came out,
yes.
And I think they made $1 billion on one of their games or something. So this was a massive business.
But Call of Duty's obviously not been very woke because they've
got like
it's a bit
women
tricky.
And they have the LGBT flags and.
I mean, historically,
okay,
it's not been very woke. It's been very much a male focused type of game because it's just people shooting each other. But yeah, I mean, obviously everything is being infected with the new manisms as things go on.
I think they just failed to innovate, really. They tried to rehash the same formula too many times and people got bored of it.
Yeah.
When I started plugging in a whole bunch of the indie games I'm into, and most of them are kind of comparable with Call of Duty. Sometimes they're a bit lower.
Interesting. That's
But
a 2024 game.
Yeah, but for the amount of budget that was spent on it, I mean, it's just...
I'm pulling up my
AAA
Steam
is
now.
proper dead. Proper dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, loads of these games are way more than 5 years old.
I've been playing Manor Lords again, which was made by one guy for most of its life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I, what have I been into lately? Planet Crafter and Satisfactory, both of them from very small teams.
Yeah. I've been playing Bannerlord a lot.
But which one?
Bannerlord, which is a small Turkish...
Isn't that Manor Lords, or is that...
No, it's a different thing. It's similar sort of context, though.
To be fair, I have been playing Total War Pharaoh Dynasties. That's a AAA studio.
Are you the only person?
Creative Assembly. No, it's really good.
But the player base is very small.
It's small, but it's a good game. Elden Ring.
Samson, stick in Star Wars Outlaw. Star Wars.
Oh, that did terribly, didn't it?
So that's a Ubisoft game. That's the guys you were picking on. Here we go. So that was another huge title, and apparently this had Ubisoft's biggest ever marketing budget spend. No. Go.
I didn't even hear about this.
It was a massive financial loss.
Where's the stats? Oh, charts. You need to click on charts. You're on metadata at the moment. It's under the blue bar. Should give us the player base. Stop changing it because it resets. Right. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on with that. Oh,
I think it. Oh.
Yeah. Players right now 366.
It's not very many.
So the all-time peak was 116.
Oh, that's on Twitch.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Like the little indie games I play beat that.
Yeah.
And they cost an absolute fraction of this amount of money. Because just nobody is just interested in this. It's just done. In fact, that's. Are you familiar with Star Wars Outlaw?
No, I never even heard of this.
Right, so it's a big budget. I think it's Ubisoft game, but it doesn't have any Jedis in it. It basically just has a boss girl who has a pet, who punches people in the face.
Why are we making Star Wars games without lightsabers?
Yes, or even Sith.
Yeah.
It's just a boss bitch.
Oh, good.
Who punches things so hard that apparently because these stormtroopers.
It looks lovely.
What?
Looks nice.
Oh, it looks good because they spent hundreds of millions on it.
Yeah.
So it will look good. But these stormtroopers, they're supposed to be cloned like special forces, hard lads, wearing body armor, and this chick just punches them. In fact, I've got a
with
clip.
her bare hands as well.
Yeah, I've got a clip from my favourite game reviewing channel, which I think is the next one. So let's just play, this game reviewer covering.
Oh, I love this guy.
Oh, he's brilliant, isn't he? I want to get him on.
Simple. You just run up to them and press the attack face button. And then you have the tulips. The tulips, guys, where you can just hide in the tulips and whistle. And then the guards come to the tulips and you just punch them in the face. And then the next guard comes after you whistle and punch them in the face. It's all about punching in the face. It's so boring. Every mission that I did, just punch them in the face. Just run around, punch them in the face. There's no forced jumps, there's no choking, Jedi mind tricks, lightsabers, or any of the fun. Just punch them in the face. That's all you do. Just run around. Hey,
but I mean, it's just, on the face of it, that is just absolutely. It's an 18-year-old girl.
Yeah.
She probably weighs 60 kilos, 50 kilos, something like that, and she's just taking down these stormtroopers in armor by punching them in the face.
But also, it just seems like it's a quick time event.
Right.
What's the actual gameplay here?
You press button for animation.
Exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't even look fun. Like, I mean, I could forgive all of that if the gameplay was great.
Yeah.
I could forgive all of that. I don't care.
I mean, even EA did a pretty good Star Wars game in Battlefront 2. I know it had some controversies when it launched because it was basically pay to win, but it became a really good game. And it was authentic. They had the music. They recreated the things from the films, and they tried to make it somewhat grounded. They tried to make it basically like a Battlefield game because it's made by the same team that made the Battlefield games, and so it felt like a familiar first-person shooter. But you also have Jedi in, and it made it really fun. It was a good game.
Well, I think there's been a feminization of gaming and it's just got to the point where it's completely unviable. Now, I think a lot of that started, and the justification for a lot of it is that technically women are over 50% of gamers, and they have been for about 10 years now. But
that can't be right, surely.
No, it is right.
No, hang on. Technically, yes, but practically, no.
So they are over 50% of gamers, but that's when you include mobile games.
Yeah.
So if you include things like Candy Crush and stuff, so basically men were something like 93% of gamers until the smartphone came out, and then all of a sudden it went to like 55% women because of these things.
I avoid gamer is a bit much.
People who say, "Oh, I play games." "Oh, what do you play?" "Oh, I play them on my phone."
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, you may as well tell me that you wash yourself with human excrement.
Yeah, it's a bit like saying it's a bit like saying you enjoy reading because you read the back of the cereal packet. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing.
It's low IQ.
Yeah, but because
it's low IQ, it's fine. You know, you're bored when you're on the tube or something, and you just want to pass the time. So you're just like doing, something to get a bit of sensory stimulus. Fine, fair enough. I totally understand. But that's not why people are playing these games. Like, this is a different paradigm.
To be fair, there are probably some good ones. So
yeah,
there'll be angry people in the comments saying, "Josh, that's a sweeping statement."
Yeah, you're probably wrong, but mostly right.
Thank you.
The only mobile game I've ever enjoyed was Plague Inc. because you get to kill everybody. So that's quite cathartic. But yeah, anyway, so the argument is that because they've got all these female gamers, therefore females need to be running everything. I mean, they will stretch to any justification, anything, but you just end up with these rancid feminists who hate men developing every game.
But it's the new man paradigm that we found ourselves trapped in. The new men have to be corporately attuned, and so they're comfortable in a corporate boardroom, and that means they're feminist, that means they're liberal, that means all this sort of stuff. But look at the culture it's producing. Look at it's in every aspect of our lives, honestly. It's just degrading everything.
But now games, AAA games, they're just not fun.
Yeah.
And they're fake, and they're gay.
Well, they're sort of putting the person playing them on a set of rails. Yeah. You have this very artificial experience where you have no creativity, you press buttons and the hard work is done for you.
Well, that's why I dropped out of the Call of Duty franchise, because it was, I remember, the Call of Duty was an old thing. It used to be like Second World War, loads of stuff about that. And then they made like Modern Warfare 1, and the first one was really good, and the second one was pretty good. And then I think maybe I bought the third one, and I was going some way, and I got a big message saying, "You're going the wrong way, you're not allowed to do that." It's like, what? It's ridiculous.
Why is it even here?
Yeah. You didn't play Doom 2 and get told that you were going the wrong way. They just let you go the wrong way as long as you liked. And
there'd just be a wall.
Yeah, you had to figure it out. Anyway, but so this feminisation of gaming has been taking place for some time, and this is an optimistic segment because we're coming through it now the other side, because the existing model has been so thoroughly rejected. I mean, was it Ubisoft, their share price has dropped from 90p down to 14p over the last 10 years. Now, with the amount
it was almost 90% decrease, isn't it? And that's in the past 5 years, I think, off the top of my head anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. But you've got to remember the amount of inflation that we've had over the last 10 years. If you had just bought Gravel, it would have held its value better than if you'd bought Ubisoft. It's almost...
The number would have gone up.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to do anything in finance and not see an increase over the last 10 years of the rate of inflation, and yet somehow they have managed it by putting in women in charge. Now, there was one chap who called this out a while ago. We can go to the next link. Yeah.
I wonder if anyone listened to him.
So this, I mean, first of all, don't be too shocked about how skinny Crowder was looking back then. And if we could figure... Anyway, play this.
Why do you think that has been such a big driver? Why do you think that's become so important? Because a huge portion of your content now is either centered around Gamergate or the social justice warrior sort of topic.
I think initially, I've always been the main reason that I got into doing my YouTube channel in the first place is because I've become very, very concerned with what I see as major violations of the principles of classical liberalism. Mm-hmm. I find it very, very disturbing. Some of the bizarre attitudes I've heard coming out of the press, coming out of the gaming press, the mainstream press, just, the prevailing attitudes are worrying. They really disturb me. There seems to be this remarkable amount of people who simply don't see bias as a bad thing. They think objectivity is silly. They think that's collusion for the greater cause of extreme progressivism is just fine. They think that the presumption of guilt is acceptable in certain conditions.
Right.
They they think all kinds of frankly insane things that I can't countenance. And Gamergate is kind of kind of a result of all of these things. These people don't seem to have any scruples, so they seem to have no problem with colluding and attacking their audience for the to promote their agenda and being corrupt, openly corrupt. These people have a massive paper trail.
That guy knows his stuff. We should get him on the
I don't
podcast.
know. I think he needs a serious improvement in many different ways. He needs to lose some weight, trim his beard, and get his rhetoric.
I mean, we should address that. I mean, what the hell is it? It looks like Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson fucked an Ewok or something. I mean, what happened here?
I wasn't really very self-conscious. I see there's been a dramatic
remarkable shake-up, I would say. So good for you, sir. Well done on that. But what he was saying was spot on. I mean, he basically called the trends exactly right over the course of the next 10 years, and everything that he said that they were doing then has basically run its course to the point where it's has become utterly unviable. In fact, we got another from this chap. We go on to, again. This isn't quite 10 years.
Do we have to watch me talking though, for the sake of time? Can we just summarise me?
It's time, is it?
Yeah. I think this one he makes the point quite quickly.
They're talking about hardcore feminists.
Yeah, we are talking about like a specific sphere of academic feminists. In her case, sex negative.
What?
Yeah, they don't like objectification. They don't like sexy women and titties.
Sex negative.
Yeah, they don't like sexy women. The male gaze is oppressing women
Laura
by looking.
Croft,
Yeah.
Tomb Raider.
Oh god, yeah.
That was part of the big issue, right?
Yeah,
it was like sexism in
horrific
video
oppression
games
because of Lara Croft. terrible oppression. I don't know how women can get over it. But Anit Sarkeesian stepped up and was like, you know what? It's wrong to look at these tits. And everyone was like, but
here we go.
Wearing a really tight top for a reason. And
Right, so I don't know what happened between 10 years and 7 years ago.
But look how skeptical Joe Rogan was. It's like just going back. Yeah. He's like, what? Really? It's like, yes, this is But now he's not skeptical in any way. Is
I mean, he was more lefty back then, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and this stuff wasn't in his face all the time.
Yeah, you can't really avoid it anymore. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so this whole thing about how they attack people. They've got this sort of perverse ideology. I mean, this example of whatever this is, Ghost of Yoti, which is presumably going to be the next AAA game. Protagonist is voiced by a radical activist who thinks police are white supremacists. I think transgender ideology. But that is who AAA Gaming is these days.
I think this is a follow-up from Ghost of Tsushima, isn't it, Samson?
Yes.
And that game was regarded as excellent. Like a really good game, authentic. It wasn't like the new Assassin's Creed game where they've thrown Tyrone in there and he's going around Japan beating people up. It's
a bit like modern day Japan then.
Yeah, but what it was an authentic expression of Japanese culture, and what they're trying to do now is move away from that because it was popular and successful, and it didn't necessarily it didn't reflect the values that we're moving towards.
Right. Okay. So bit of optimism. What's your rating? What is a good indie game that's worth playing?
I mean, I enjoy Bannerlords, but what do I actually play?
You're telling me about some Warhammer.
I've got my Steam up at the minute.
That's not indie though,
wasn't it?
Probably not.
Right.
Shall I list off some games? Give you some time to think. So, I was playing No Man's Sky last. It kind of was. It started off small, got quite big. Chivalry 2, Manor I've got Bannerlord there as well. I've got a game called Phasmophobia, which I've been playing with one of my old school friends, which is a game where you have a whole toolkit and you go into a house and try and figure out which kind of ghost is haunting it.
Oh, okay.
It's quite good fun, actually. Yeah. It's like a horror game. I can't even say it. Kingdom Come Deliverance. I've been playing again. Sons of the Forest. I've been playing with my friends. Loads of games out there.
I think I've found indie. A nearly perfect game. Frostpunk 2. Bloody love this game. Have you heard of that one?
I've seen lots of positive reviews of it, but
Frostpunk 1 is really, really good, and some people don't like the sequel, but I like the sequel. The reason I like it is because it's basically in a post-apocalyptic. It's got really cold. So the climate collapses, come and it's cold, but don't worry about that. So you've got to basically keep this Victorian era steampunk community alive. And the reason I like number 2 is because different factions form, and one of the factions is the technocrats, who are guided by the principles of progressivism, equality and reason. Right, and they form in opposition to another group, which is the Icebloods, who are all about adaptation, merit, and tradition.
Oh, I like that.
So basically, you're in charge of them, and these are these 2 factions. And I spend the entire game making the life of the technocrats as much hell as possible. I mean, I just subjugate them. I make them promises that I don't keep. I repeatedly tell them, we concede on this, and then do the precise opposite. And in my last game, I eventually ended up just putting them in a camp. In a concentration camp, because they want weird shit. They want stuff like so I ended up doing like traditional marriages, and women stay home and look after the kids, and they wanted all kids to be raised communally.
Yeah, the new man.
Yeah, and they wanted rotational relationship rotation, all stuff like that. Well, there's a whole bunch of social policy now. Oh, yeah, you can set the policy on who comes into your society. So these fuckers, they want these guys, they want open borders, obviously, whereas the other guys are like, no, we want closed borders, or at the minimum, we want helpful people only. So there's a whole bunch. Oh, you can sterilise criminals. You can make the unproductive pull their way.
Is this a dystopia or a utopia?
Yeah, this is a video game and not a manifesto, right?
Well, I play it like a manifesto. But anyway, so I think that is absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's other factions in there as well, but you basically get to govern this society that is clinging on by their fingernails, and therefore you can be a bit radical with stuff. So yeah, I think there are great games out there. You're just not going to find them from the big studios. So we could be optimistic because it is all done. Final link, because I didn't actually know that this was a thing, but apparently everybody apart from me knows this is a thing. Is apparently you have a gaming channel now.
Yeah, got a little gaming channel where I'm doing little Bannerlord videos. I'm playing some Space Marine 2.
Right.
This is a bit of fun.
That sounds all right.
Yeah. Something to blow off steam, to be honest. It's not very political.
How often do you actually stream on that then?
Pretty regularly.
Right.
So, because normally I'll get like an hour or 2 in the evening where I'm like on my own in my office, and so I'll do like a stream or something.
So you invite 10,000 people in with you?
Well, not quite that many, but yeah, because it's just playing some games, just relaxing.
Right. Well, if you want a game with Carl, he's been right about this stuff so far. Check out whatever it was. What is it? The Pondering. There you go.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're up to, you can follow Dan's series, Brokenomics, this one on industrialising space. And if you want to see all the other things that we're putting out, you can always follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.